you'd eliminate most interpersonal violence.
I think it's interesting that alcohol is legal,
Mm-hmm.
and yet, you know, you do terrible things.
You probably couldn't have made any a worse drug legal. I mean, about 10% of people become addicted to it in one way or another.
Really?
And far more people than that abuse it. Yes, at least once in their life, yes. We did experiments at McGill showing that if you took drunk people and put them in a competitive environment where they could be aggressive and had them keep track of their aggression so they were actually conscious of it, they became more aggressive even rather than less. So yeah, alcohol's bad news, and it can turn perfectly good people into quite the impulsive and dim-witted monsters.
You know what's amazing to me is how the people who make alcohol get a free ride. I don't know how it got it in our heads to treat one like it's completely taboo, and the other we kind of shrug. I mean, it's crazy, right? It's like, this is the drug that is causing so many problems for young people, particularly on campuses. Sure. And the schools are hand in glove with the manufacturers of it.
Because it's socially acceptable.
You know, you might say, well, why do people drink too much? It's like, if you like alcohol, that's a stupid question.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, why do people drink too much? Well, because it's great.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, so why stop? Well, you do stupid things when you're drunk. You hurt yourself. You compromise your health. It's really hard on the people around you. You tend to turn into a liar, and it screws up your life.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but it's pretty fun. Yeah, well, it is. But you need something better than that. And what's better isn't being straight and not making mistakes. It's like, that's all prohibition in some sense. What's better is, no, you need an adventure, man. You need to get out there and have something to do.
Yeah.
And something worth waking up for. And that's the substitute for the addiction. It isn't that you're trying to avoid booze exactly. It's that you're trying to restructure your whole life. If you're a drinker, then all your friends are drinkers, and you're used to drinking in every social situation. And the places that you go to socialize are places that you drink. And like, it's really built in as a whole set of habits. And so what you have to do is kind of redesign your life. You can't just stop drinking. You have to figure out what you're going to start doing instead of drinking. There's a hole that you have to fill.
I said to my kids, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes.
I quit drinking when I was 27. You know, I mean, Northern Albertan culture was pretty damn hard drinking culture, like most northern places. And a number of my friends ended up alcoholic. You know, and all the people that I was in high school with and in college with were extremely hard drinkers. And I drank quite a lot till I was 27. And then I found that I couldn't. Well, first of all, my life was taking a pretty professional turn. And second, I found that there was no bloody way I could write seriously and think seriously on an ongoing basis if I was hungover. So, and I got married and I was going to have kids, and I thought, yeah, enough of this. And so, you know, I've watched too, as I've gone around the world, I've met very, very many people in many, many social occasions. And because I don't drink anything at all now, if I go out and watch people drinking, it makes everybody stupid and fuzzy-minded. And you know, the problem is when you're drinking, you think you're cool, but, you know, you have those same delusions that Homer Simpson's friend Barney had when he was drinking, that you're this kind of, you know, elegant and sophisticated comedian, and it just makes everybody stupid.
Starts off as a fun little thing, and then it turns into an escape, and then all of a sudden you don't remember why you're out there doing stuff.
And it just went from bad to worse. I hit the drink heavily on a daily basis. I was out all night partying with women of the night and not coming home, and I didn't care about boxing, I didn't care about living, I just wanted to die, and I was going to have a good time doing it while I was doing it. I used to drink and take drugs to get away from the depression, because when I was drunk or high, then I wouldn't think about being depressed. I thought about being I'm a boxing champion, or I feel great. But as we know, when the drink wears off, it only leaves you with a bad hangover and feeling even more depressed. For someone who suffers with mental health, the worst thing we can do to escape it is take drugs or alcohol.
But yeah, that's the most common approach.
And that's the common approach because people we don't know.
Because I'm negative and I'm dark and I want to do bad stuff. I want to hang out in this neighborhood alone. That's dangerous to hang out in this neighborhood alone up here, right? It wants to kill everything. It wants to kill me too. I made the right decision. I made Cuz proud of me. I made myself proud of me. I hate myself. I'm trying to kill myself. I used to hate myself a lot, but I made myself proud of myself. And I don't do that much. And I was happy I did that. And maybe it was overwhelming to Teddy and he didn't get it yet, but he has to know this is sincere. I don't want to fight you no more. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was wrong. And I just wanted to make my amends. If he accepted or not, at least I could die and go to my grave and say I made my amends with everybody that I had hurt. You know, I want to change my life. I want to live a different life now. I want to live my sober life. I don't want to die. I'm on the verge of dying because I'm a vicious alcoholic. I haven't took drugs in 6 days. And for me, that's a miracle. I've been lying to everybody else and think I was sober, but I'm not. This is my 6th day. I'm never going to use again.
Because it's not spoke about. I was out drinking. I didn't care. Give up. Taking drugs, like I said. And it come to a point I was doing that for 18 months of my life. And I was out 2017 Halloween. I was a 400 pounds dressed up as a skeleton, and I go to this fancy dress party, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, these are all young kids compared to me. I'm 30 and I feel like I was the oldest guy in there, like 29. I was like, what am I doing here? Is this what you want for your life? And I thought to myself, this is not me. And no matter how many people told me before this, where I was going wrong, what I was doing, you need to act to your life. You can only change your life if you want to change it. And I left, and everyone said, are you going home early? I said, yeah. I left at 9 o'clock. I went home, and I got back home. I didn't say anything to the wife. I just went straight upstairs into a dark room, and I took the stupid skeleton suit off, and I was sat there, and I got on my knees, and I was praying and begging God to help me. And at this point, I'd never begged or cried to God to help me before. I'd prayed a lot all my life, but I'd never been in this physical state before. I could feel tears running down my face. My chest was wet with tears, because I knew I couldn't do it on my own. It wasn't possible for me. After praying for about 10 minutes, I got up, and I felt the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. And for the first time in years, I knew I was going to make a comeback. And I called my wife. I said, Paris. She said, what? She thought I was drunk coming home from the pub. I said, Monday morning, I start to regain mission to try and get the heavyweight championship of the world back.
I think there's an aspect of it that's clearly has to do with one's own morality, because it's too easy to jump on that wagon of it's a disease and my brain's been hijacked and I no longer have a choice in the matter. I think there's that element for sure, but past a certain point, you have to stand up inside yourself and change. You know, everybody does with any issue. Ultimately, anything else is just a really new age excuse, if you ask me.
Every time I had done something or said something that I regretted, it was when I was drinking. And I thought at one point, maybe I don't want to live a life where I'm continually or even sporadically wishing that I hadn't said or done something. And I'm very much unlikely to do that if I'm sober and clear-headed. Yeah. Funny thing is, if you're trying to stop drinking, you need something better than alcohol. And alcohol's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you better find something a lot better, man. Yeah, and it is. And then estimable people do estimable things. It's like, yeah, well, you want to figure out something that you're doing with your life that's worth not getting drunk and screwing up.
That's exactly what happened to me in Prince George. It was exactly that conversation with myself. And initially I decided 6 months off, and I just never went back to it.
Like, there were times I was like, man, I could never be a sober person because I'm afraid of, I can't communicate with women, or I'm afraid to, stand around in a circle with tough guys without having like a beer in my hand, or like all these little crutches, I can't. And then I remember when I got like 90 days sober, I was just like, holy shit, man. Like, it was like the first time I'd ever done something like for myself,
Yeah.
And it just, man, it felt unprecedented.
Yeah.